Oh, soul of an empath. We are back. My name is Tiffany Cano. Today I have Staci and Marc Kessler. We are going to talk about the art of empathic communication. And I'm really excited to bring them on the show. Let me tell you a little bit about them. They've been together for 40 years, married for 35 years, which these days is a really long time. And they together have dedicated their lives to helping professionals maintain a work and life. Notice the and, like space for work and life balance that creates a beloved ship centered on intimacy, passion, and happiness. As transformational relationship coaches, they believe that discovering your authentic self and unleashing your inner truths are the foundation for nurturing all forms of relationships, be it personal or professional. So, welcome, Staci and Marc.
Hello. Thank you for having us on your wonderful show.
Thank you, Tiffany. We're super honored to be here.
My pleasure. I'm happy to have you guys here and bring in the love, bring in the love.
Yes. Stay awake to the love. That's what we say. Stay awake to the love.
Mm. And I think just helping people to open up their hearts to love in the first place, because I think so many people's hearts kind of got closed more so in these last few years with what's happening in the world. So anybody who is in that heart space, I am applauding you and thanking you. So yes. Now, talk to me about what had you even want to be these amazing relationship coaches that will bring out the best in couples?
That is a great question, Tiffany. And I feel like since I was a little girl, I always loved witnessing relationships. And I felt these relationships by feelings, and it was like a magnetic connection in people. And I had an aunt who I just adored as a little girl, and she was on her first date. She had gotten divorced about a year prior. I was 9 years old. And because I didn't have a daddy growing up, I think
Mhm.
that there was something there with just witnessing the love amongst the couple. And the moment that I met this man, we were in the living room playing, and when I stood up, I looked at him, I looked at her, and I said, "Someday you're going to be married." And my aunt was so embarrassed by that because she was like, out of the mouths of babes, you never know what they're going to say. They really
Mhm.
speak their truth, right? We speak our truth at that point because we're not thinking that we're going to be judged. We're not thinking we're going to get in trouble. We're not thinking of those things. We're just, however we feel is what we speak, right?
Innocence.
The
Yeah.
innocence.
Mm.
So I feel like several years back, I was going through my own personal awakening, and I was at the beach with a girlfriend. And finally, I was laid down several times for about 3.5 hours. And Spirit shared with me what I was going to be up to. Like, what am I here for? What are you here for? And every
Mhm.
time I would get up and I thought I was done, I felt this pressure right on my shoulders, pushing me right back onto the sand. It was an amazing experience, actually. It was an outer body experience. And reveal yourself with grace and ease came through.
I love that. Reveal yourself with grace and ease.
Mm-hmm.
And what did
So
that look like? Because
it,
that could be applied to so many areas of life.
yes, it could. And I feel like as the woman in the relationship with my lover, it was showing me that I wasn't fully living my full potential and living in my truth.
Mm-hmm.
So it was time for me to reveal myself with grace and ease. And through all of the years prior, Marc and I have been now in business for 37 years. And we've been supporting couples and individuals in their business journeys, entrepreneurially, and now personally as well. So I thought, let me take all of the teachings
Mm-hmm.
and really begin applying them into my life. So no more preaching it, but really being it. That makes sense.
Yes, it is totally different from speaking it versus being it.
Yes. So that was the big inspiration. We left the beach that day, and more messages kept coming through as I sat in my beautiful space. I have a morning routine, and it was a big awakening. And it was sharing with me, Spirit was sharing with me that there's no coincidence that you and Marc are together for all of these years since you're 14 years old. Do you think
Wow.
you have any codependencies there, darling?
Well, that is definitely something good to look at, right? So then it went and explored how you could release that and get into the healthier bonding patterns.
Totally, totally. And I worked with women, I worked with mothers and daughters at the time I was starting out because I felt like that was going to be where the healing was going to come. And it was an incredible experience, an incredible journey. We had retreats, and we brought together mothers and daughters that never in a million years thought that they could have the relationship that they did. And it
Aw.
was great working with them. And then another awakening came, and the awakening was, okay, it's time to work on couplehood. What's that going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
So relinquishing the patterns of that codependency and becoming an independent woman thriving in an interdependent relationship. And that is my vision. And that is
Mm-hmm.
my vision for other women who have been in relationship. And it doesn't even start really always in the marriage, right? We don't even realize our codependencies, even as parents, right? We're born in this world as dependent humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our parents, as they're raising us, it's exciting for them to be in control for a little while.
Or at least attempt it, right?
Yeah.
Have the false perception of control, right?
It is, but you have to realize, like, how much of an impact was that in your childhood leading into your
Mm-hmm.
teenage and your adulthood, right? So, even through our relationship, we were teaching each other. And
Mm-hmm.
we're both going from the essence of what our parents had brought to our awareness and, on our beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in our relationship, we had to go through so many years, decades until we realize, whoa, we've got patterns of our own and beliefs of our own that we get to transition out of and move on to a new path. And, that transformational journey that we embarked on was what really woke us up. And then we really understood um, why revealing yourself with grace and ease was so impactful to the space of presence and awareness within, and why
Mm-hmm.
so many people are stuck in the chatter of their minds and don't sit with stillness and observation and identifying, your feelings so that you can understand the needs that you are so needing in your life, and then how to request it. So our transformational journey has led us to such a deep understanding, and it's so simple. It can
Mm-hmm.
be,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where we're at now, and it's super powerful.
Mm-hmm. I I can feel your depth And, being empathic, we're feelers, right? And when you guys got on, I felt like you've had at least 4 other lifetimes together. That's why it was such an easy thing of, I know you at 14, I remember you, and then here you are playing again together in this life and growing and learning and cheerleading each other on. And it's such a beautiful thing to just see energetically. I can tell you guys practice what you preach. Like, you walk your talk, you do your own individual work and you do your own couples work. When I was talking to Staci a couple weeks ago, she said you were away at a men's retreat. And I thought that was so beautiful and empowering. I think more men need that kind of support in the world. We'd have a lot more peace if that were happening. Are there any nuggets you want to share with us from that you might be allowed to share? I don't know what
Yeah,
your
absolutely. I
privacy
mean,
clause is.
yeah, actually, being an empathic, nature is the one of the highest priorities of calling to oneself. And this was actually one of the first times that actually, the men's retreat was my own retreat. I went
Mm.
on my own journey,
Ah.
and I went to go walk off what was not serving me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had walked probably like 60 miles of trails throughout Utah, through all the national parks, and
Wow.
I would find myself 2 hours into a hike where I hadn't seen anybody. One of the main ones was walking up a river in the Zion National Park, and it was so inspiring. I felt like a little kid, and I hadn't felt that way for so long. So just bringing back that innocence and youthful feeling to myself is not something you can explain. It's like going to the Grand Canyon and trying to explain the depth and the awness of it all, and just taking that individual's time out for oneself, and just receiving from nature what nature's there to give.
Mm-hmm.
So it was beautiful.
Do you feel that more couples would have healthier relationships if there were those little timeouts that each one had their own version of me time and processing, releasing, letting go, going on the walkabout that you just did?
Absolutely. I mean, like they say, the absence of the heart just brings back so much more fondness in the relationship. And
Mhm.
there's so much truth to that. But it's really finding yourself. I don't think we understand how to really spend time with ourselves. I think we're scared of it in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
So, just having that opportunity to be with myself at that capacity was, I only had myself to be with. And it was like one other time I did that was in a 10-day silent retreat, Vipassana.
Mhm.
And again, that was a whole new understanding of self. Like, you're not talking, you're not looking, you're not anything. And it was super empowering. So yeah, absolutely. That I advise that for anybody to take that upon.
Mm. And what advice would you give a new couple starting out? I want to kind of put it in stages, because I think that, newer ones versus ones who've already been together for, 10 plus years, it might be different. So I'm just curious, what what type of mindset and beliefs do couples need in different stages of their relationship?
I feel like there's 3 stages to every relationship. Excuse me. The first stage we call the honeymoon phase, the puppy love phase. This is where we are people pleasing. We're doing anything to keep the vibe going, to keep the vibration of sensuality, sexuality, fun, invitation. There's no demands, it's just open on
Mhm.
stage 1. And
Mhm.
sometimes that could last 2 weeks. Sometimes that could last 2 months. Typically, it pretty much ends within the first year, because you get tired and it does get exhausting saying no to yourself quite often when you are people pleasing. So it's a great stage though. It's fun, it's inviting, and it's everything we all dream of in the happily ever after storybook. And then comes phase 2. So stage 2, we call that the healing stage.
Uh-huh.
Others call it something different. We bring in the healing portion to it. And that's the biggest struggle for people. So this is what I say to newly, maybe newly married couples, couples that are thinking about marriage, is see yourself in one another openly and see if you are willing to heal through your life and your stuff with this person. Because what you are seeing in that person and what you are not liking in that person is typically what you are probably not liking within yourself somewhere, somehow.
They're being the mirror reflecting your positive and not so positive attributes, right?
Very much so. Very much so. Definitely. We want to get to amor fati, right? We want to get to that equanimity, to that harmony, to that peace, to that balance, to where stage 3 is the complete acceptance stage where you could laugh about the things that really used to make you angry, right? Now you're laughing about it because you're really taking ownership of it. You're taking the full value of your lessons and you're applying them and putting them into the joy state of life. So I invite anybody new coming into relationship. I'll tell you a really quick funny story. When Marc and I were getting married, we got married the moment I turned 18. And we're Jewish, so we got married by a rabbi. And this rabbi, I'm 5 foot tall, 100 pounds, and this rabbi was probably 4'9", 100 pounds. So it was really cute. And what he said to Marc and I when we went in for the interview, because we got to interview our rabbis, right? Is he said, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 18." And Marc said he was 21. And he said, "I love the fact that you want to get married, but what is the real reason why you want to get married?" And we had to answer. And then he put us through a 6-week, pretty intensive course in order for him to marry us. So we thought we were going to the temple to interview our rabbi, and the rabbi was actually interviewing us. So we of course dove in and we learned a lot of things through that time. And I remember he did have us create a vision at that time for our marriage and what we wanted in our marriage, because we both had come from broken marriages, both of our parents. And he wanted to be sure that what we were committing to, we were really heartfeltly committing to. So that was my fun story with the rabbi. And we're married since now. I'm 18 and he's 21 and we're in our 50s now. Yay.
Wow. That is a celebration in and of itself. I love that. And I also think it's great that you guys did a couples course before you even got married. I bet a lot of couples totally miss that stage, the learning about each other, getting to know each other at a deeper level, learning about themselves. There's so much more that we can discover when we take the time to do it.
I love that. And I feel like one of the most important factors in every relationship is how we communicate. So Marc and I really focus on the intimacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the intimacy is into me, I see. And if I don't see me and I don't love me, then what am I bringing to the belovedship? Because
Yeah.
they're all separate entities and identities, right? It's a trinity. It's what the woman brings to the relationship. And if they're in a heterosexual relationship, it's what the man brings to the relationship. And then it's what they both bring into the belovedship.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a 4-pillar system that we feel is empathetic communication. And it comes from one of my favorite and Marc's favorite books that wasn't Marc's favorite book at first.
What was that, Marc? Which one?
What she's about to tell you is nonviolent communication.
Ah.
By
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Marshall Rosenberg.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's an art to be able to communicate in observation
Yes.
and come from a place of neutrality and not judge, because we've been trained and taught to judge all of our lives, because that's what happened when we were little boys and little girls.
Mm-hmm.
We were rose up to a certain expectation that was expected of us. And we basically were instilled with our own parents and authoritarians' self-limited beliefs. And then when we become teenagers and we want to go to that independent stage, the ones that are codependent now, maybe such as the parents, are
Mm-hmm.
now having a harder time letting go. So there's judgment and there's criticism and there's all of those things of you're looking to start to live into your truth because your beliefs were other people's beliefs. So this is how we trained ourselves since we are young children to
Mm-hmm.
literally take on the identities of others, which at that point were our authoritarians. And when we break free from that and we really step into our truth, that's what sets us free.
Beautiful. And Marc, what does empathic communication look like and feel like from your perspective? Can you give me an example of something that you two worked through together?
That we've worked through together.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's always been pretty much an empathic relationship from the get-go, because just always understanding um, from my perspective what the relationship might need in a moment. I think I've always had that kind of like that gift in our relationship and as a person. And just I've been so heartfelt all my life, I believe. And just recognizing where within the relationship what's missing
Mm-hmm.
and being compassionate about what it is, and then really bringing that forth to the table without expectation, without well, I need this back.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you get your moments where there's breakdown that occurs within self and you're not capable to have the capacity to bring forth what the relationship might need. But if you can maintain the awareness and presence within the moment without referencing your past and worrying about your future, then
Mm-hmm.
you can strive to have equanimity and harmony and balance within each other when when you're just in a truthful, loving space. And yeah, because I've always been more so to give more of myself
Mm-hmm.
than looking to receive. And so now in my later years, I've understood how to get the balance between filling up my own love tank and, giving forth what I can so I don't deplete my own ability. And then I run on a deficit,
Mm-hmm.
and then refueling in nature.
Yes, the give and the receive. So
Yeah.
important. The inhale and the exhale.
Hmm.
Without both, people die, literally and metaphysically, right?
Yes.
100%.
It's suffocating. It's suffocating.
Yeah.
It's exhausting when
Hmm.
you're not able to give back to yourself. And I feel like coming back to the communication, I feel like if we, especially as women, because I feel like we are the nurture, we are the um the soil, and what we put into the soil is what creates the relationship within the divine masculine, right? That's like where the trunk of the tree just grows, and then there's, blossoms, and there's leaves and flowers that are coming out, and we are there nurturing that in our relationship. So if we are depleted as women and we don't give that love back to ourselves, and like you said, that inhale, exhale, and we're in that breath of acceptance and fulfillment, and reminding ourselves what we love about ourselves, so that that ripples into the relationship organically. That's the key, is for, I feel, the divine feminine within, both masculine and feminine, with the divine feminine being able to fully embody and embrace and love and accept herself.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that pours into every bit of communication, because if we have 80,000 thoughts a day, right? My trainer and coach was Joe Dispenza, still is. And he talks about 80,000 thoughts a day. And where do those thoughts come from? They come from feelings, right? So the second part of our pillars are, observe, and then notice what you're feeling when you're speaking. Where is the tension showing up in your body? Because your body will remind you if you are in your authentic truth in the moment, or if you are reacting to something that was a trigger to you, right? So then it's jumping back to, what is my need at this very moment? Stopping in the moment, because we fight to be right. Right?
The ego wants to be right.
Exactly. So we have to prove that we're right somewhere, and that's through the communication, and that's where it all begins. So if we discover our feelings, we discover our needs, then we're able to make requests without making demands, because we're so used to the demands.
It's wonderful when you can have that awareness of what you need and want for yourself and in the partnership, so that there's time and energy and space to be in that request. It's when when someone hasn't taken that moment of pause to even know what that is, then there's no space left to be graceful about making a request, and they're like instantly into demand. Right?
But that's a huge part of where, we, in our teachings, we teach people to pause. It's like when you hear a beautiful melody, it's not in everything, all the notes that have been played, it's the pause in between so you can appreciate the notes that have happened. And that's where in life, where we, really become the observer, rather than just being so consumed in what it is about what we're up to daily, moment by moment, that we get to truly realize that we are just the observers of our mind. And when we stand back far enough from it and we give ourselves time to pause, well, listen, this is what's coming up, let's think about this before we respond to anything. And so that we can be clear about what it is that, our choices that we make and how it will affect the next moment.
Yes. And talk to me also how you guys work with couples. Like, what's your vision for your business, and what would people come to you for?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking that. And I feel like we inspire couples and individuals to dissolve the habits and patterns and unlock subconscious blocks, so that they can achieve authentic, loving personal relationships and professional relationships, while mastering the art of communication. Because the feelings, the needs, all of that good, juicy stuff that is
Mm-hmm.
before the communication is what affects the communication. So we have where we dive into silence and stillness, and we teach you, which is really amazing, because imagine sitting in a place for 15 minutes and having no thoughts at all. How cool would that be?
Oh, it's delicious. I love it.
Right?
But I'm a daily meditator, so I can appreciate it.
Right? Could you
Yeah.
imagine going back to not having that, just that peace and that
Oh,
silence,
I love that nothingness.
the
That's
nothingness?
like heaven on earth for me.
A great way to observe the nothingness is by visualizing that your mind is a train station, and there's trains passing through constantly, and they're always trying to encourage you to jump on this train. So when you say, nope, not going to ride that one, not going to ride that one, that's where the peace comes in. It's like, no, I'm not going to jump on every thought that comes through my station.
Squirrel, squirrel,
Squirrel,
right?
squirrel. I'm going crazy.
Wonderful. And when you work with clients, is it in like a couples therapy type setting? Do you give them access to online courses or retreats? Give me a little more, specifics on that part.
Yes, for sure. So yes, we do have several programs, and we call ourselves course creators because we are creating the course of our life as we are creating the courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we course create. Everything is done with ourselves, and we have a conscious community that supports the people that come into the community so that they can feel like they are heard, they can feel like they are seen, and they can feel like they are felt in a deeper way. Because when you feel seen, heard, and felt, you're love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the simplicity of it. So our courses are online. Right now, we have a redesigned course where Marc and I are going to be doing live, which is unusual, one-on-one in group session, because we will be then like recording those and putting them into our other programs. So they will be getting us pretty much on a weekly basis, or myself alone, because I do work with women at the beginning of time, because I love to get them to reconnect and tap into the divine feminine, especially the women that are entrepreneurial and are career oriented, because they're so in their masculine that it's like a blind
Mm-hmm.
spot to be able to come back to your lover and really be the woman that he was attracted to from the very beginning, which is the divine femme within. So I love to work on the inner child healing and help people unleash their inner truths. And I love being a stand for women to see, love, and accept themselves, and to help them embody the fullness of their radiant love and humbly step into, you ready for this?
Yes.
Courage and surrender.
Yes. I
Courage
love
and
it.
surrender. Because people think that when we surrender, it's a weakness, but actually, it's the best gift that we could give ourselves, is
Mm-hmm.
to let go, detach, and surrender, and trust the source.
Indeed. I definitely something that I learned to love in the beginning. Surrender felt scary. And over time, surrender became more and more scrumptious
Mhm.
because I would stop beating my head against the wall, right? And I could just surrender to God and say, okay, I give this to you, Lord. Help. Make me your instrument. I surrender. And then all of a sudden, life just got better, or that situation would improve. So I love it. I love it.
Yes, we
And
have a piece of our program that is a good month long for women that is called the Surrendered Woman. And it allows her to dive into a place that has been not very comfortable for a long time, which is the pool of vulnerability. We just dive in.
I can definitely see us collaborating a lot more in the future, because so much of what you're speaking really fits with my offerings, and in terms of the beingness and the surrender and all of that. I think it would be amazing if we created something together. And we can talk more about that offline.
Okay.
But to also get back to the show, I know you have a gift. So can you tell us more about your gift?
Yay. Yes, I love our gift. Our gift that we're giving is called The Art of Empathetic Communication. It's a playbook, and it's based on Dr. Rosenberg's best-selling book, The Nonviolent Communication Book. And this is where people encounter a wide variety of challenges in each and every day, right? And
Mm-hmm.
every day we know that number one is always going to be communication, because this is how we're able to work with people on a daily basis. So in order to cultivate and fortify and connect into a conscious lifestyle, this is a way to adopt a set of principles that support living a life of empathy, compassion, courage, and authenticity. So the playbook has meditation exercises, it has play sheets, daily activities, and it gives you a way to practice the 4 pillars.
I'm definitely going to pick that up, and I'll put the link for it in the show notes. So everyone pick up this free gift, because it's important being able to have empathetic communication in every single area of your life with every person will make a huge difference. It could turn that conflict that you might have with a coworker or with a family member or your romantic partner into peace, into love, into kindness, into forgiveness. So definitely grab their gift and learn more about them. Work with them if you resonate with them. And I'm so happy that I had a chance to have you on the show today. I wish we had more time, but we already have gone over quite a bit. So I do need to wrap up, but I love you and thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Tiffany. We
Thanks,
love
Tiff.
you, we honor you, and we're super grateful to have been here and share our vision with the world.
Thank you, sister. And
So
thank you,
great to
Marc.
spend this time.
All right. Much love.
Thanks.
Namaste.
Thanks, Lovey. Mwah. Mwah.